I have my clarified butter. Maybe I'm going to strain that off. So when we can strain, once it clarifies, how'd you strain it off when you did it before?
We just like let the topping over your cup.
Yeah.
And then just like punch it all down to the top of that.
Poured it out after it's set up? Yeah, that works too.
Yeah.
So we can just, we can put it through a cheesecloth. Sometimes you can put it through a clean linen or a clean rag. The Chine Watson in is usually fine enough to get at least the way out. Occasionally it might go through, but it all fit at the bottom. It's generally pretty good. Cool. Now you need to make sure you keep this stuff hot when you do it. If it gets cold, you'll have a problem when you go to make your Bernaise. Okay? Don't let it get cold. Somebody will let it get cold. I know how you guys work.
So did mine.
Here. Alright. So I'm going to get my reduction going. There's a little recipe here. I'm going to cut it in half. Okay? So I cut my reduction recipe in half, so I'm going to change it slightly too. There's shallots in there. You can use shallots for instead of onions. We need about 15 mils. And you can rough dice it because we're going to strain this part out. Okay? 15 mils or so, it's about a tablespoon worth. I have white wine vinegar. It doesn't have tarragon in it, it's just regular white wine vinegar. I got 50, alright, yeah, 50 mils of white wine vinegar goes in there. White wine, 50 mils of white wine. I'll measure it for you. It's just going to free pour it.
No, just white wine vinegar.
50 mils of white wine. I forgot to grab lemons.
Lemon juice.
Yeah, I think I have one in here.
White wine.
5 mils of lemon juice, so that's not very much. I'll grab more lemons.
Yeah.
That can go in there. Alright. Change the recipe a little bit. So classic reduction would have parsley stem, bay leaf, peppercorns. So I have 2 black peppercorns that are going in there. Alright. So shallot, white wine vinegar, lemon juice, bay leaf, parsley stem, peppercorn. That's pretty classic. Yeah. So that's going on here. I'm going to bring that down to 1/3 of its original size.
So there's no tarragon?
I didn't put tarragon in here. I can put fresh tarragon in at the end. So I didn't put tarragon in my reduction because I want to do a classic type reduction. If I was just making hollandaise for my reduction, I wouldn't likely put the white wine vinegar in it. So white wine, shallot, peppercorn, bay leaf, parsley stem. Look at the general reduction would be. If I was to ask you to make a reduction for beurre blanc, white wine, shallot, parsley stem, bay leaf, peppercorn. And why not get that? What's in a like a regular straight up reduction, classic reduction?
Bay leaf, peppercorn, white wine vinegar.
Not white wine vinegar.
White wine.
Yeah.
Parsley stem.
Shallot. Okay. Cool. Okay. Good. So that's on. I have it on moderately high heat. It's fairly high heat. Be careful with your flames that are coming around your pot that it doesn't start to burn the sugars and the alcohol and stuff along the side of your pot. Okay. Do be aware of that. I've already separated my yolks, so I have 2 yolks right here, ready to go. Keep your egg whites because we're going to need.
It says 2.5.
2.5. I'm going to make mine with 2 yolks. I'm going to cut that in half. Yeah, you're going to do a 2 yolk Bernaise. All right. So how much clarified butter am I going to use then? Thank you. Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. So what am I going to do now? I'm going to wait for this for a second. I don't trust that that's going. Let's have a look at. I don't want to bounce around too much. I was going to bread my stuff. Okay, let's let that keep going. That should only take a minute.
Right.
Why do we make a reduction? Why don't I just pour that directly in? Give me a reason, Nicholas. Why would I make a reduction? Get rid of some of the raw alcohol flavor. Yep. That's another. Concentrate the flavors. Get rid of some of the flavors that I don't want. Like smooth it off a little bit, or round it off a little bit. So we'll get all the flavors of the shallot and the parsley and the bay leaf and everything together. Right? If I was just to pour white wine in there, which some places do, they'll just throw your yolks in here, a little splash of white wine, maybe a little bit of vinegar, some lemon juice, and away they go. Start whiskey makers that way on.
I have a quick question for you.
Yeah.
The wines that we use in cooking is the same wine that you would drink?
It should be.
Yeah. Okay. So there's
Yeah.
not any special white wine to cook with.
You see them on the market, but they're horrible.
Okay.
Yeah, so that translates into horrible sauces, horrible, right? If it starts, there's an old saying, you can't make chicken soup from chicken poop. I don't ever hear that.
Gross.
You like that? Yeah, so if you start with inferior ingredients or stuff that doesn't taste good, then that's how you're going to make it taste good.
Right.
What's the point, right? So you might as well leave it out instead of putting, not great wine in. Don't even put it in at all if you can't afford to put decent stuff. I'm not saying, you need to put like a 1984 Petrus or something in the sauce, but certainly it needs to be decent, right? If it's not, then there's no point. The stuff that's a lot of cooking wines, they used to use them because they're salted, right? Yeah, they salt them because I think that cooks like to drink while they're working. So
It's a lot like vinegar cooking wines.
but yeah, that too. Like the stuff you buy, they'll put salt in it so the cooks don't drink it. And then think what would happen if we made a reduction with that.
It's not salty.
Right, and it's crap wine. So, yeah, decent stuff. It doesn't have to be awesome. Usually dry white wines you'll see in restaurants and like a standard Cab Merlot blend of some sort for a red wine. What's that? Depends, man.
Carlo Rossi.
Yeah, sure. Shiraz? You know what? It depends. Like different grape varietals for different sauces. Sure. And then if we're doing things like foie gras and stuff, then maybe we're going to choose like a Gewürztraminer or something that's a little more appropriate. Pair it, like things. Actually, that's a good point. So if you're working in a restaurant and you're doing like a wine dinner, for example, and they're pairing specific varietal specific wines or whatever with a dish, then you should really be using, not always, but in a lot of cases, use that wine in the sauce. Sometimes they want to contrast, but in a lot of cases, you would use that same sort of wine or something that works appropriately with it. All right, so simmering away. I'm almost there. I want to bring it down to a third of its original volume. I'm going to screen off my reduction when it's done. This is something, again, if you're doing a large, watch your paper better. In a restaurant, if we're doing hollandaise or Bernaise or something every day and we don't want to make a reduction every day, you can make a batch and it'll last for like 3 days. So often we'll just make a little bit enough for the last 3 days and then you just kind of keep it in a little squeeze bottle and just start like that. Notice I can ignore the camera for the most part.
You're doing a good job.
What camera?
What camera?
You did get smart though. This is on your phone.
Sorry.
Like,
Oh, it's good. We were talking about that. You can post it on YouTube or whatever, and then we can put a link on the S drive, and you guys can access it.
Yeah. Good job.
All right, almost there, almost there. So when it starts to get down, folks, do pay attention to it. Don't crank it up and burn it. You might want to turn it down. Like, don't walk away from it at this point. If you burn it, then it's no good. Some of you might reduce it to the point where there's almost nothing left in there, but it's not burnt yet. You're gonna ask me, what do I do? What do I do? So what do you think you would do if it's not burnt, but you reduce it down so there's no
A
liquid?
little bit more, maybe?
What's that?
Add a little bit more?
A little bit more what?
Like wine or water, maybe?
Water.
Water?
Yeah, because we're getting rid of a lot of water, right? So if you reduce it right down, and sometimes the shallots and the parsley stem will just absorb everything, you get down to a point where this is just basically dry in your pot, but you haven't burnt it yet. You can just add a little bit of water to it and give it a little bit of a simmer, and then it'll come back for you. All right. All that work for that, right? Over there. My recipe say how much I need for reduction. 45 mils for 5, so I would need, let's say, 20 mils for 2, so 10 mils per yolk is what it's telling me. You plug her in?
Yeah, she's running low.
Maybe, because I'm going to have to go over here, right?
One right there.